Trump's America First just slammed headfirst into reality. After ICE perp walked South Korean engineers out of a Georgia battery plant in shackles, Seoul froze, Hyundai hit the brakes, and Trump suddenly went from "foreigners are the problem" to "please bring your experts, we promise we'll behave." That's not policy, that's panic wearing a flag pin. Subscribe and hit the bell if you want more reporting that mixes data with a spine and the occasional flamethrower.
Donald Trump realizes that he's screwed up big time. I mean, he's screwed his entire administration up with how it's handled South Korea. And now South Korea is like, we ain't investing any more money in the United States. You know that $12 billion Hyundai plant we've been building for many, many years, even before you took office, Donald Trump? Yeah, say goodbye to that. Those 300 plus South Korean workers who were trying to train the Americans how to run a battery plant, which would have been great for the economy of Georgia. Say goodbye to that. Here's what Donald Trump's posting, quite literally begging for the workers to come back and begging for other foreign workers from other countries to come back, because this has had a domino effect, folks. It's not just impacting South Korea, where people feel terrorized by the Trump regime, but all throughout Asia and frankly, the rest of the world. They're like, why would we build factories in this fascist regime in the United States that attacks us, literally puts us in shackles? Here's what Donald Trump posted. He goes, when foreign companies who are building extremely complex product machines and various other things, which he puts in quotes, come into the United States with massive investments, I want them to bring their people of expertise for a period of time to teach and train our people to make these very unique and complex products as they phase out of our country and back into their land. If we didn't do this, all of that massive investment will never come in the first place. Chips, semiconductors, computer chips, trains, and so many other products that we have to learn from others how to make, or in many cases, relearn because we used to be great at it, but not anymore. For example, shipbuilding, where we used to build a ship a day, and now we barely build a ship a year. I don't want to frighten off or disincentivize investment into America by outside countries or companies. We welcome them. We welcome their employees, and we are willing to proudly say we will learn from them and do even better than them at their own game sometime into the not too distant future. And if that wasn't enough right there, then the White House account reposted Donald Trump's post, and then they wrote, we don't want to frighten or disincentivize them. I get it. You don't want to frighten them. But when you have masked ICE agents roll up on them and disappear them and treat them like war criminals, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And here's the thing, Donald, we live in a very interconnected world. And as you're recognizing in that post, but which you've screwed up massively at, and there's really no coming back from at this time.
Now let's lay it out, start to finish. Trump's ICE raid wasn't some strategic tough on illegal labor move. It was a made-for-TV sweep that scooped up hundreds of Korean specialists flown in to get a 7.6B EV battery complex off the ground, people the US literally needs to train local crews on brand new lines. ICE even cut a glossy video of the roundup like it was a recruitment ad. South Korean TV looped it. The optics, engineers, and leg irons, the message to allied investors, your people aren't partners here, they're suspects. Hyundai's response was immediate and measurable. The CEO said the launch is delayed a couple of months, and suppliers are reassessing timelines. That's the gentle corporate way of saying, you just scared off the folks who make this work. Local hiring plans ripple when your trainers are on a plane home, and your supply chain starts to wonder if federal agents are going to kick the door in mid-shift. Add Reuters follow-ups. Some Korean staff at unrelated US sites quietly left early. This is what policy failure looks like in the real economy. Delays, second thoughts, and capital that can simply go somewhere else. Cue Trump's whiplash U-turn on Truth Social. The same guy who built a brand on screaming, "Close the border," suddenly posted a Hallmark card to foreign manufacturers. We welcome you. Please bring your people of expertise to train Americans. We need to relearn semiconductors and shipbuilding, and we used to build a ship a day. Translation: I pressed the big red button, and now I need you to fix what I broke. Media across the globe amplified it because, let's be honest, a sitting president begging for foreign trainers 48 hours after ICE frog marched them off a bus is a 5-alarm contradiction. And the allies noticed. South Korea's new president, Lee Jae-myung, landed in D.C. already bracing for a Zelensky moment, his words at CSIS, because Trump had posted a pre-meeting broadside about a supposed purge in Seoul. That is not how you prepare a partner for a delicate trade Josh defense summit. That's how you spook a bond market. On camera, Lee even trolled Trump with a straight face. Can't wait to see your Trump Tower in North Korea. Maybe you'll golf there. Because Trump couldn't stop bragging about Kim Jong-un. It would be comedy if it weren't surrounding a live munitions peninsula. Then came the line that detonated in Seoul. Trump mused that the US should stop leasing base land in Korea and just own it. As in, maybe ask them to give us ownership of the land where we have the big fort. No, really. Local papers, The Guardian, the FT, everyone ran it. South Korean outlets immediately fact-checked. Base sites are granted, not leased. There's no deed to hand over, and even floating that demand slices right across 7 decades of alliance etiquette. If your goal is to keep Allied FDI flowing, maybe don't imply you'd like to annex a chunk of their soil.
Now, here is the video that ICE released. Just to be clear, it wasn't just that ICE did it. ICE then made like a hype video. They made a propaganda video of themselves rolling up with the South Korean shackled. And you better believe that was front page news. That's the top story in South Korea right now. Here, play this clip.
GSP in position, north side.
Now, you had the 316 South Korean workers who were kidnapped by ICE militarized forces in Georgia at that Hyundai factory. They returned to the airport back in Seoul. Here's how it looked when they returned. Play this clip. Just to hear some of the voices as well from the wives of some of the kidnapped workers and some of the kidnapped workers. Let's play this clip right here.
Nobody is going to stay and work when it's like this. After this situation, we considered leaving our jobs. I don't know how the visa will work next time, and there will be some people who need to go there, but I have to think about it.
They went there to help the U.S. The U.S. side also wanted them to work there, but now they are being treated like criminals, which feels very unpleasant. Since they're not actual criminals, the fact that they were taken away like that, I think that's a real problem.
Let's talk stakes, not vibes. Georgia's EV corridor isn't a press release, it's payroll. These mega plants run on know-how the US is rebuilding after decades of offshoring. The playbook is simple. Bring in the specialists, train up the domestic workforce, hand over the keys. That's how you stand up a gigafactory on schedule. ICE raids that treat the trainers like cartel mules don't just humiliate allied firms, they push schedules right and push capital away. Hyundai said so without saying so. And while Trump's post now welcomes foreign experts, the images of cuffs and buses travel farther than any Truth Social pivot. Investors won't unsee that. Quick pause if you're into this kind of receipts first breakdown and unapologetic roast of the nonsense. Tap subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, should allied companies pause US investments until there's a coherent policy, or double down and force the White House to grow up? I'm reading every take. Back to the wreckage. The "We welcome you" post wasn't the only contradiction. On the same Washington trip, Trump riffed about strategic flexibility, hinting U.S. forces in Korea should be redeployable around the region at his discretion. Seoul hears that as your deterrent might vanish the night Beijing rattles a saber. Lee pushed back publicly before the meeting. At the podium, Trump still dangled troop posture like a lever. Nothing says stable investment climate like casually threatening to rearrange your allies' security umbrella on live TV. Meanwhile, the trade deal Trump folks boasted about, still not inked. Reuters flagged the gap. Korean media bluntly reported that Seoul hadn't signed the text presented at the White House. Even Commerce's Howard Lutnick wound up on CNBC admitting that the Koreans didn't sign and suggesting they either accept Washington's take it or tariff offer or eat penalties. If you're courting a partner back to the table after you just handcuffed their engineers, maybe don't swagger on cable TV about how they'll bend or pay. It gets worse. Because the raid wasn't just clumsy, it was performative. AP confirmed ICE released its own video package of agents moving in. PBS showed the airport, the buses, the rows of detainees. Back home, those clips hit primetime. Wives on camera calling it unpleasant. Engineers saying flatly they won't come back. In an industry that lives and dies on tight timelines and trust, it takes exactly one such week to shift a boardroom discussion from Georgia to Gujarat. That's not fear-mongering. That's Econ 101 with diplomats. And yes, roast time, watch the rhetorical gymnastics. When the cuffs go on, it's law and order. When the supplier flies home and the opening slips, it's suddenly, we welcome outside companies and their employees. When Hyundai's CEO publicly says, couple months delay, it's no big deal. When the Korean president deadpans about Trump Tower Pyongyang, it's, see, they love me. When an ally fact-checks that bases aren't leases, it's, maybe we'll just ask for the land. Buddy, you don't ask for another nation's land like it's a to-go container. You're the commander-in-chief, not a mall developer haggling for a food court. Meanwhile, we used to build a ship a day.
Pull a Zelensky. That's the phrase that foreign leaders now use to talk about going into the Oval Office. Will he pull a Zelensky? Meaning, will he try to mock and embarrass and take away my nation's sovereignty in that golden bordello of an Oval Office? Here, play this clip of President Lee. Let's play it.
So first of all, before I met with President Trump today, he posted on Truth Social a very threatening post, which I felt. And then during the press gaggle, he mentioned about the Korean government's investigations regarding the previous government. And he mentioned that he would look into the search and seizure of U.S. bases. And so my staff was worried that we might face a Zelensky moment.
Just to remind you, this was the post that Donald Trump made right before President Lee arrived. Donald Trump goes, "What's going on in South Korea? Seems like a purge or revolution. We can't have that and do business there. I am seeing the new president today at the White House. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So some right-wing groups, there's a MAGA faction in South Korea, by the way. Like their far right-wing in South Korea has modeled themselves after MAGA. And so they bring that same, like literally, they call themselves like MAGA there in South Korea. And so they kind of laundered into the U.S. these deranged conspiracies that, South Korea was going after Christians and South Korea is going after all these groups. And so based on hearing that, Trump makes a post. At the press conference, Donald Trump was asked about it, and Donald Trump was like, well, I posted about it because I heard about it. I'm not really sure what it's about, but I post about it. Then at that Oval Office meeting, the South Korean president mocked Donald Trump to his face, but Trump was too stupid to realize that he was even being mocked here. And so South Korea's President Lee, he goes, look, you know what, Donald? Because Donald kept on bragging about Kim Jong-un in North Korea. And he goes, this is what the president of South Korea says, total troll of Trump. He goes, I look forward to you meeting with Kim Jong-un, and I guess I'll see you building a Trump Tower in North Korea, and you're going to be playing golf there, I suppose, knowing that none of those things will ever happen in North Korea. Here, play this clip right here.
정말 세계사적인 평화의 메이커로서의 역할을 꼭 해주시기를 기대합니다.
And I would like to mention that the only remaining divided nation in the world is the Korean Peninsula, and I would like to ask for your role in establishing peace on the Korean Peninsula. So I look forward to your meeting with Chairman Kim Jong-un and construction of a Trump Tower in North Korea and playing golf at that place.
아마 기다리고 있을 것 같습니다.
다시 한 번만.
기다리고 있을 것 같습니다.
So I believe he will be waiting for you.
Nostalgia is cute, coming from a president who spent years torching the very channels you need to rebuild industrial muscle: allied supply chains and predictable rule of law. If you want shipyards humming, you don't start by scaring away the folks who make the propulsion systems, then lecture them about coming back to teach us. Real strength is boring. Visas processed, rules clear, unions and management aligned, and nobody's lead engineer worrying an ICE cameraman will catch them in a perp walk. The current vibe: big talk, small plan, and an emergency U-turn when allies call the bluff. Let's also clock the security angle. Trump's pre-meeting blast about a purge in South Korea didn't just insult a Democratic partner, it signaled to every authoritarian watching that the White House will throw allied domestic politics into a blender if a Fox Chiron says so. Lee's Zelensky moment quip wasn't flattery. It was a diplomatic klaxon. If you're Seoul, do you still route your highest-end fabs and R&D here, or do you hedge in Europe and Southeast Asia while Washington works through its, let's call it, a temperament phase? Comment: should the US create a fast-track, time-limited expert trainer visa for critical plants, or has the ICE fiasco poisoned the well? And on the home front, Georgia workers lose, too. Every month an EV plant slips is a month of paychecks not printed, supply yards not stocked, restaurants not full. It's the cruelest irony. The same performative toughness that plays on cable eats lunch in the very counties it claims to protect. No clip of agents stacking passports can compete with the quiet power of a time card that no longer exists. Let me be wildly clear. Training visas aren't a surrender. They're a bridge. The Japanese and Koreans did this with American experts in the 1960s and 70s. Now, their firms are global champions. If the US wants a revival, we need the humility to learn fast from the best and the confidence to make it ours. Trump's emergency love letter to foreign expertise actually admits that. He just discovered it at the worst possible moment, with allies furious and cameras rolling. Short term, Hyundai will get the plant open, but a couple of months is real money, and corporate risk committees will bake in a new line item: US political unpredictability. Expect more carefully lawyered staffing plans, fewer trainers at once, more remote commissioning, and heavier security.
Howard Lutnick says, this is how you're trying to court them back? Are you kidding me? And then U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, he basically admits that there was no deal struck when he was confronted with it on CNBC. Let's play the clip.
To the point on Hyundai, so is the Korea trade deal in jeopardy now?
Well, the Koreans didn't sign when the president was in, right? The president came in, you remember that? He came to the White House. Notice how we didn't talk about trade? Because he didn't sign the piece of paper. I mean, the devil is in the details always. Well, I think they saw the Japanese now, so there's no flexibility, right? The Japanese signed the contract. The Koreans either accept that deal or pay the tariffs. Black and white. Pay the tariffs or accept the deal.
But has the immigration raid led to more tension there about?
I think you're going to see President Trump go out and address that. He knows that to build these great factories, we need leadership of people who've built them before if he wants to do it fast. So I think he's going to make a deal with the different countries that when they want to build big here, he'll find a way to get their workers proper work visas, meaning short-term work visas, train Americans, and then head home. I think the president is very clear. I think you're going to see an ABC from him. A, you come in. B, you train Americans, and C, you head on home.
And finally, you have Donald Trump threatening the sovereignty of South Korea. Donald Trump's like, because we have American troops in South Korea, I would like for you to give us ownership of your land. We would like to own your land, South Korea. Think about what the people in South, you want to own our land? The hell are you talking about? This is what he's done with Denmark and Greenland. This is what he said to Canada. And also, he is a chicken, S-H-I, you know what I'm about to say as well when it comes down to it. Instead, he has the Navy raiding fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela, a tuna fishing boat the other day off of Venezuela. Oh, and then he has the military bomb fishing boat.
Expect Seoul to ask for ironclad guarantees on visas before any fresh tranche of capex. And expect Republicans who cheered the raid to pretend none of this cause and effect exists once the ribbon finally cuts. Medium term, the land ownership gaffe will linger. You can't unsay, give us your base land. Korean press will keep reminding voters that Trump floated it, and fact checks will keep pointing out the status of forces reality. Granted sites, not leases, not deeds. That's the stuff alliance managers spend years trying to bury. It's back on the surface. Long term, if Washington keeps mixing immigration theater with industrial policy, we'll watch chips, batteries, and clean energy supply chains drift toward places that feel boring in the best way. Policy is a trust game. The nation that treats foreign partners like partners wins the factory. The nation that treats them like props wins a headline and loses a decade. Don't let the White House pretend this was unforeseeable. AP literally shows you the video ice cut, PBS shows the airport scenes, Reuters shows you the delay, Korean TV shows you the homecoming. This isn't a both sides fog. It's a line of dominoes you can watch fall in 4K. Don't let the sudden "we welcome you" pivot fool you. If the policy substance doesn't change, clear visa pathways for technical trainers, stable defense rhetoric, grown-up trade texts that allies can actually sign, then the post was just a hostage note to Capitol. Capitol reads the fine print. And so do we. If you want more of this, facts first, roast as required, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. And be ruthless in the comments. What's the one policy fix you'd make tomorrow to stop us from shooting ourselves in the supply chain again? I'll pin the best answer. Finally, if you made it this far, drop "no more perp walks for partners" in the comments so I know you're one of the real ones. Because here's the bottom line. Allies don't invest in countries that can't tell the difference between an engineer and a threat. America can. America must. And the man taking victory laps on a golf cart while ICE handcuffs our future, he's not relearning anything. He's relearning how fast a global economy can leave you behind.
And remember, if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button.